Hello, all my crafty people out there. If you are just tuning in to this channel, my name is Stephanie, and I upcycle thrifted items, generally clothing, into new clothing for people to wear. So I can't be the only one that's got a pile of these. I mean, I've got shirts, pieces of shirts, what's left of the shirts all over. Now, I found a reason or a thing to use the cuffs for and some of the sleeves for. But the mystery for me is collars. Now, I have used these shirts to make dresses and shorts and all kinds of things for my grandchildren, even some outfits for myself. But the collars, I haven't had anything to do with them yet. And now I think I've got an idea. So, that being said, if you like this kind of content, or if you want to give it a try, like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think. And we're going to go on a little adventure together and see what we can make with some collars. Okay, I think the first thing we need to do is, I've been kind of testing out the waters, what kind of collars I have, whether they're button down or they're just straight, and whether they have stays in them that I'm going to have to cut out because they're inside, not necessarily removable stays. So I've kind of started settling on these patterns so far, and I think what I'm going to do, this one was already cut like this. Obviously I cut it off for some reason. I think I'm going to cut them all like this first, right there at the edge, you know, where the button portion of the collar is. I'm going to cut them all off like that, and it'll be a lot easier. I can press them, and it'll give me a good idea of how I want to arrange them. And then I think we're going to make, honestly, we're going to make some kind of tote, and I'm just not sure what it's going to look like. At first, let's cut them all up. I'm going to start cutting them, like I said, right across the edge here. I'm leaving this seam, and if it frays a little here, I don't care, but I don't want to cut this seam apart where it opens it up from the bottom. So let me go cut some collars up, and let's see what we get. So, what I'm doing is I flattened them with the iron as flat as I could get them. They're not going to be perfect, but that's okay. Because the way I'm going to do them, I think it'll work out. And of course, I got to take like tags off of them, and some of them still have buttons. I might leave the buttons on. Don't know. Alright, so that's my first layer, right? Take that 2x2 off there. Alright, then we're going to take these, and we're going to do a woven pattern. And that is what we're going to work with. We're going to sew this down onto a piece of paper. That wouldn't work real well. We're going to sew this down to a piece of fabric, possibly a thing of jean fabric. And then we will cut it up to shape if we need to, or we may use this frayed side look. And cut the bag where it falls behind this, and this is like a facing. We're gonna see. We just experimenting. So this is my initial thought. Let me go find some denim to put behind it and make the rest of the tote, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, guys, I thought I had enough in some old coveralls, but this piece of fabric turned out to be and I changed one of the collars But this turned out to be about 18 by almost 20. It's right at 20, yeah. So 18 by 20, roughly, this is what I've got to put down onto some fabric. And again, I was thinking denim, but my coveralls weren't near that big, so I went and found these bad boys. I don't know if you can read that. Let me see if I can take the shine off of it. But it's a 44 by 30. So there's a lot of denim in these, and I got them for $3.99. They've been well loved. They've got some holes patched and everything like that. So someone loved these jeans dearly. And I think that I should have enough even in the shortest part of the leg. I've got 10 inches here. So you got to double that to 20. And I know I got plenty of length here. So I could probably use the wider end up here just to make sure. Because I kind of want to have enough on the side of the bag to do the squared bottom. And leave the collars. If I can leave them on without having to trim them. I thought they'd kind of hang off the edge and look kind of funky. I did go ahead and take the buttons off them. So I'm going to remove, and I thought about even doing the top half for the bag, but it's not long enough. So we're still going to have to work with the legs. So I'm just going to chop both these legs off at the same time. It'll be more than enough fabric, but it'll be easy for us to deconstruct them at that point. So I'm just going to fold them nice and straight here, or straight as I can, so don't lose any extra fabric. And we're going to break out these bad boys. Yeah. You know I love them. And this is just the kind of project they need. Something heavy duty like this. So I'm just going to cut right across here. Nothing too fancy. You're going to have to take it one leg at a time. Like this. And the other leg. Voila. Alright, couldn't turn them off. So, if I wanted to make another apron, this would be a great apron piece, especially with the patch already on it and the holes. I think it would look really cool. You could put some colorful patches on it. So, possible apron later. I've got a big pile of shirts down here on the floor that I've got to organize after all this is said and done. And I'm going to cut it down this seam, because this would be the one I'd want to save if I'm going to have to use it. I want this to be part of the design, because I like a good old double stitch on these jeans. So let's just cut this open. Okay, executive decision. We've got a curl problem up here at the top of the jean. And it's giving me a pleat, but it straightens out further down on the jean leg. So what I did is I reduced our weave by 2 collars, one in each direction. So that gives me something closer to about 18 by 19. Now I know that's only about it's only about an inch one way, because the collars are still as long as they are one way. What I want to do is I'm going to sew it down to this leg. And yes, I know I'm meeting the sides pretty close here, but hear me out. I thought about cutting it out and making a circle. I thought about just cutting it down to size for a bag that's smaller, smaller. Anyway. And then I thought, I really like the idea that people will figure out that these are collars. So you have to kind of see the ends, right? So I'm going to sew this down, kind of quilt it onto this denim. And then you see how these last collars end here? Right here? I'm going to be able to cut up behind these to make my little square that will square the bottom of this bag. And that way, when I square it, these will kind of hang off the edge. I think it'll be kind of cute. And they'll be a little bit hanging off the bottom too. So I'm not calling it fringe, but you will be able to tell that it's a collar, that it's made from collars. And I'm just checking right now, trying to make sure that, you know, there's about the same amount hanging off of each side. So I don't have a, you know, some kind of big discrepancy and it goes wonky. So once I figure out and make sure that I've got about the same amount on each side, I think these are pretty good. I'm going to pin it down to this leg where it sits right now. Again, avoiding the curl up top where the leg starts to splay like that. I won't have that problem because I'm going to use the flatter side down here. So I'm going to pin it kind of like I'm doing a quilt. You know, where I'm going to quilt on top of it. I'm not necessarily quilting. I'm just going to stitch probably kind of like in the ditch through these different the weave to catch everything and make sure everything's down and secure. And I don't care about the edges fraying. I think that'll be cool too. You know, I like a little fray. So let me get this pinned down and then we're going to go over to the machine and stitch it down and work on the other side and figure out what our handles are going to be. Okay, loaded the denim needle. Definitely don't want to do that without this because it's going through some thick stuff. The collars are thick, and of course the denim is too. So I've loaded up the needle, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow in between the lines and sew over, of course, the top of the collars, and then follow the line of the other collar. And I'm just going to go back and forth and cover the whole weaving pattern. Okay, I've got them all sewn on. By the way, that takes a little bit of time. You have to go across each one and you make sure you catch the edge of all of the collars both ways, and then you got to go this way again, catching both sides of the collar. It takes a little while. If I was a better quilter or something like that, I probably could have thought of a better way. Now what I'm doing here is I'm pinning up the sides of the collar that are loose, that are what we want to kind of just hang over the sides of our bag. And by pinning this up, that'll give me access to the sides to make the cut that I want to square up the bottom. Okay, I'm going to pull this one up since it's on bottom apparently. And like I said, I'm just pinning these up on top of the others that are already sewn down. This is the edge. And one more. You know, the colors are kind of seasonal if you think about it. They're very springy. This would make a great bag for Easter egg hunting, which we will probably be doing on Saturday. But as adults, well, we have an Easter egg hunt for the children. And then we have an adult Easter egg hunt of miniatures. Yeah, you heard me. We have a lot of fun. So this gives me the ability to see these sides and know I've got plenty of room to make, well, how deep do I want this side? I'd say about 1.5 inches maybe. Okay, I think I've decided on these flowers for our lining. And yes, I'm leaving the salvage on this because it's going to be inside the bag. And this is not a fancy smancy, nice and neat kind of bag. It's a fun bag. That doesn't really sound right. Okay, sorry. But I noticed when I was looking at the back of the bag that although we got our lines, our seams to line up, it's uneven. There's a larger side, which isn't really a problem for me. What I thought we would do is take one of the pockets off of these jeans and put it here or here maybe. And then I thought about making a flower out of this old soft button placket. So it's just one side of the placket. So I think the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to run a gathering stitch by hand, a really big one, just like I did for the petals on my sunflower jeans. And once we run that stitch, then we can pull it and see if we can get it to ball into a nice little circle, and we'll make a flower out of this. So we can have a flower up here, and we could have a big pocket right here, and that would kind of help with the space. Or we could even put the flower over here and put the pocket over here. That might work better, like that. Just to give it a little more character. In case you wanted to wear the bag the other way, or just for convenience of a pocket. So let me go cut this up. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut it right now. I'm going to cut the exterior of the pocket all the way around. I'm not going to worry about seam ripping this out because that bad boy is, you know, it's got the big old satin stitching and all that. So let's see if we can get in it. Got the pocket on. I ended up taking the top off that I had cut off, you know, the top seam that I had left on, and cut that off. And I realized I'm going to be close to the edge, so it's going to fold like this, but that's okay. That's not a problem for me. That's about how much we're going to catch in the fold of the, you know, when we put the corner in. So I just put a few decorative stitches around it. This is what I wanted to show you though. I'm running a gathering stitch around or the bottom edge of this placket. And all I'm doing is it's probably about a little more than a 1/4 inch. I don't know if you can see that. I'm just running my needle through. And I should have gotten a longer needle. So then when I run it through that gathering stitch and I pull it, it gets all nice and curly. And what I can do, potentially with this, not decided yet, is just kind of curl it up and make a little flower over here. So that's what I'm working on right now. I just wanted to show you the pockets on. And I know that, like I said, this is going to get into the way this folds, but it's not a problem for me. I think it'll be okay. Okay, I got it all gathered. So I'm just pulling the string to make it tight. And it looks kind of like a unconnected scrunchie. I'm just going to wrap it around, kind of tuck it under itself. Pull the string if I need to tighten it. Oops, I had turned. I want to turn that white side of the placket underneath and do it like this. And then I thought I'd put a big button there. Like that, sort of. Now, if I was making it out of some other fabric, I could make it longer because, you know, I could make the piece of fabric as long as I'd like. But as it stands, I'm just making it out of this button placket. So, it's going to be a little smaller. But that's kind of what it's going to look like. And I think I'm going to try and use this that's still connected and start kind of hand tacking it down because you wouldn't be able to sew it with a machine. So I'm going to hand tack this end down. It's also going to give me the ability to kind of tighten it. Like that. And I'm just going to sew it on, kind of tacking it where I can. Okay, got my little flower on. Turned out pretty cute. It's just the button placket. In my pocket, I have the whole front done, as we know, but it does not, I'm leaving it pinned up for right now so we can sew the front and the back together like this. We're going to sew bottom, sides, and then we'll sew this by pinching it out and sewing across it. It might be a little tough because I'm going to get into this corner here with the shirts. So we'll see how that goes. Then I'm going to sew my lining together. And again, I'm not even going to worry about a pocket in this because it's going to be a big long bag. It's probably going to be a beach bag. So I'm going to sew the lining together and I'm going to leave a hole in the bottom for me to turn it inside out. I'm going to leave a pretty substantial hole because this jean material is going to be a challenge along with the collars to pull through. Then I thought for handles we'd use some more button plackets. These are nice thick button plackets. Now granted, they're not both sides of the placket because I had already taken the buttons off of a lot of these shirts and I'm not willing to sew the buttons back on. But they're sturdy, they're not stretchy. Well, this one's a little stretchy, but I don't think it's going to make a difference. These are going to be my handles, and they're a good, the short one is a good 28 inches, 27 inches long. So I'm just going to use 27 inches of the longer one, and we'll tuck it in at the top and use these as our straps. So it'll be more than enough strap. Our bag is... it's a little bit, it's right around 16 inches from 10, yeah, it's about 16 inches this way. So I figured 4 inches in, 1, 2, 3, and 4 right here. And then just make sure when you put your strap on that it turns the right way. You want it to meet the right way. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to put my straps right there. I might actually put them in, yeah, like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4 inches in is where I'm going to start these. I'm going to put them there, and I'm going to go ahead and just tack them down with my sewing machine before I put this in the lining. And again, I'm keeping the collars down up here because when I put my lining on, I don't want to catch them. I'm getting a little sunlight here. Sorry about that. We have tacked down the straps on both sides, and they are folded in where they should be. Here is our lining. Now we're going to leave our lining right side in and our bag right side out because you always want the right sides touching so so they won't touch on the outside when you turn it out. So we're going to fold this because it is heavy. It's going to be a heck of a beach bag, I tell you what. Durable. This will be here for the end. So we're going to put it in here. Oh, that's my button that's getting stuck. All right. Now, we got it in there. And remember, we left this big hole at the bottom to turn it. So make sure your straps are facing down inside, and they're straight down so you don't catch them. Then you just want to kind of line up your side seams to make sure that you're lined up at the top. And we're going to go over to the sewing machine And I'm going to sew all the way around the top, probably twice, just to make sure it's nice and secure. And then we will turn it inside out and see what we get. Okay, we got the bag inside the bag. Now it's time to use the hole to pull it through. I'm going to try and fold it up inside so it's a little easier, just like it was to put it in. But I did make the turning hole pretty big because I knew this was going to be a challenge. I've still got some pins up here, so I got to be kind of careful. I'll pull that one. Try to pull them as I go. Hopefully they won't all get caught. So these pins, I'm going to finally pull these out. We'll fluff the collars back out. And here's one, and here's one. Alright, now I'm going to turn the lining out. And it's got Joann's on the bottom. Don't care. That's cool, actually. So let's see how it looks before we go in and sew that up. And we're also going to, when we sew that up, we're going to top stitch the top of the bag, make it extra secure, and voila, this is our bag with our straps. Hey guys, gonna have a slight design change here. I tried it on, and these are kind of annoying. They flop, and I like the way these look at the top that show it's a collar that we made this out of, and out of the bottom, but I'm really not keen on this side thing, so I'm going to cut these off. And I am positive that y'all can let me know if y'all think this was a bad idea. But I'm going to cut these sides off. I'm going to leave, about 1/4 inch on them, and that's going to let them fray. But I'm going to cut them off, and I think that they're going to look better cut off. But by all means, let me know what you think. It's like this, sometimes you try something on and you realize, that's not the way I wanted it to look. So I'm going to go from this side because, again, right-handed. Make sure I'm not cutting anything extra under here. And like that. And voila. I think that looks more finished, but I still like the little fringe at the top and the bottom. And again, I still like the back or the front, whichever way you want to wear it. Let's go try it on. All right, everybody. We got us a nice big colorful tote, and I do mean big. This puppy's huge. I could have made it smaller with fewer collars. I could have cut the collars into a shape after they were already made into a fabric. Big recommendation. If you're going to give this a try, put the collars down on a lighter fabric, like a muslin, a cotton, something like that. They'll be easier to sew down because they themselves are thick. And then once they're all put together, up and down, that kind of thing, once you've got them all put together, then you can apply them to denim or some other heavy fabric. But going through the whole process of putting them directly onto the denim was heavy, literally. I would probably also recommend being more careful with your corners. Make sure that you're not anywhere near the corner where you're cutting, so you don't get this possible catch, which I did catch this collar. I had to unpluck it, to get it out. And this is what the other side looks like, which I'm actually really partial to this side. So this is a little plainer, but it's definitely still a cute tote. And I could wear it either way. The straps are nice and sturdy. They're the button plackets off of a couple of the cotton shirts. And I think that it's going to hold up great for probably the beach. Or I'm going on vacation next week, so maybe I can stuff this with some things. Go shopping, who knows? So if you like this kind of content, like, subscribe, share. Let me know what you're thinking. If you've got some projects, I would love to hear about it. And I will catch y'all on the flip side of our next project.